guys, this is another baking video, and today I am making gingerbread biscottis. So biscottis are kind of cookies that you dip into your tea or coffee because they're really hard. They are twice baked cookies. And if you've already seen my video on my other channel on how to make the cranberry pistachio biscottis, then yes, that's right, now we are making gingerbread. But if you haven't seen the other one yet, then I will link it here, and then I'll also put a link in the down bar so you can see how to make these kind of festive green and red cookies. And I'm giving both of them as a gift to someone. So we kind of have the light one with the chocolate drizzle on top, and then the dark one with the white chocolate drizzle on top. So I think they go really well as the flavors and what they look like. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make the gingerbread ones. So for our gingerbread biscottis, we are using oil, baking powder, 2 kinds of flour, just regular all-purpose flour, and then also whole wheat flour, sugar, and actually it calls, since I'm halving the recipe, it calls for 1.5 eggs, so we're gonna make that work, and not vanilla, so I took that away. And since it's gingerbread, we have a whole bunch of spices. We have ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, ground ginger, ground cloves, and then molasses. So we're gonna start with the oil, and we're putting in 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons of the oil. Then we're going to put 1/2 cup of sugar. For our eggs, I'm going to break them into a cup. I'm just going to mix them a bit. This isn't the best way. Obviously, it's better if you have the exact measurements, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to pour in some of it, or most of it, but leaving a little bit in there. So hopefully that's 1.5 eggs worth. And then our molasses. It's just a nice thick paste. So we're just going to add 2 tablespoons. And we're just going to mix this up so it's nice and blended. So I'm again using a hand mixer. Then we're going to set this aside and grab a new bowl that we're going to put our dry ingredients in. So we're taking our all-purpose flour, and we're going to have a whole cup plus 2 tablespoons. So I'm just going to do a nice heaping cup. And then of the whole wheat flour, I'm just going to add 1/2 cup. With our baking powder, we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of that. So 1.5. And then we're going to add in all of our spices. So we have 2.25 teaspoons of the ginger. And then for the cinnamon, we're adding 1 teaspoon of that. For nutmeg, just 1/8 teaspoon. So I'm just going to kind of do a small quarter, since I don't have a whole 1/8. And then for the cloves, we're going to do 3/4 teaspoon. Just like that. And we're just going to mix that just by hand, just to get it all combined. And then once this is all mixed, we are going to add it to our wet ingredients. And we're going to add a little bit of the dough, or the dry ingredients, and mix. And a little more. So we have it looking like that. It's quite stiff. It's just like a dough. I got my hands wet because it makes it easier to maneuver the dough. Otherwise, it's all gonna just stick right to your hands, and you're not gonna be able to do anything with it. See, hands are relatively clean. And I have a greased cookie pan, and I actually put aluminum foil on it first, and then grease that. I like keeping my cookie pans clean. And so we're gonna put this like this, and we're going to try to make it as even as we can. Now that we have this all flattened out, looking oh so delicious, we are going to put it in our preheated oven. That is preheated to 375. So this one is a little bit hotter than the pistachio one. And then we're going to leave this in for 25 minutes. So now it has baked, so we're gonna take it out and we're gonna set it for about 20 minutes. And like I said before, I'm going to, for the first 10 minutes, cover it with a tea towel just so it cools a little bit slower so it doesn't start to crack. So just cover it with a tea towel. And we're gonna wait 20 minutes. So now that it's cool, we're gonna transfer it onto a cutting board and then we're gonna cut our biscottis. And then I lined the baking sheet with another piece of aluminum foil. You don't have to though. You don't have to butter anymore. And then we're just gonna put them on their sides on the new baking sheet. So they're just like this. And then we're going to put it back into the oven. And these ones are a little bit more moist. So instead of just baking it for kind of 5-10 more minutes, we're actually going to bake it for between 5 and 8 minutes on each side. So we are actually going to be flipping it. So I'm going to do it just for 5 minutes just so they dry out a little bit more. And then I'll flip them after that time. Now we're just gonna flip them over just so they get nice and crispy. So now these are all done. So we're just gonna let them cool completely before we go on to drizzle them with white chocolate. So even now they're still a little bit soft inside, but once they cool, they're gonna harden up as well. So now we have some melted white chocolate that I thought would go really well with the darker gingerbread color. And again, we just have a fork and we're just gonna drizzle it on just like that. Nothing too neat. We're just gonna make some patterns. And then we're gonna let it dry. I hope you guys like this video and let me know if you guys are trying this out to bring to a party or to have yourself or then to give as a gift. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.